On February 1990, on Valentine's Day, I received my first Valentine's card. I was 14 years old, and this is the card. I kept it. It says, "Dear Harry, I really like you. Please don't tell our classmates." Sorry. LV. PS, greetings to your mom. I had a very pretty mama. I'm going to keep it here. The next day, on February 15th, 1990, my smart, beautiful mother died of aggressive lung cancer. And my sister and I were all that remained of our family, because our creative, enthusiastic father had died 5 months before. So we were orphans, children without parents. Now, there weren't any family members who would take us in. They weren't able to do so. And organizations weren't calling us because my sister was over 18 years of age and therefore considered an adult and my guardian. So there we were, lost and in search of a sense of belonging. And we thought, what on earth has just happened? Now, there wasn't any time to grieve because after the funeral of my mother, we had more challenges facing us, like fighting for our home. Since our names weren't on the lease of the house, we had to beg and plead with the owner to be allowed to stay in the house where I was born. And then we struggled to pay the rent. We weren't successful in making ends meet, and we came to the point of having to sell our furniture. We needed help. And asking for help when you most need it is really hard. Especially when people around you have already told you that they can't really help you. So we tried a new strategy. We decided that we could do anything. We were the tough ones. We could totally do this. Right? Right. Of course, we hopelessly failed. But people around us started noticing our new behavior, and they were complimenting us for being so brave. Wow, you're doing such a great job. Keep it up. But we weren't doing a great job at all. We were pretending. It was make-believe. So it was perfectly understandable that nobody noticed our struggle because we hid it so well. Now, it felt as if we were walking a tightrope, way up high, for the very first time, without practice and without a safety net, but with a large audience waiting to see what would happen. Would we make it safely across to the other side or not? Now, what do we know about orphans in the Western world? Well, we know the classic ones: Little Orphan Annie, Harry Potter, Batman. It's really cool. James Bond, and the Little Match Girl. Now, these are all romanticized fictional characters. Some of them are considered superheroes because they vanquish demons and fight villains. And others are considered pitiful because they die in the street at Christmas time. So we have heroes and losers. But how do Western orphans today look like? What do they look like? Orphans look very normal, like your own neighbors and your own kids. And that's exactly what's so tricky about this whole thing, because they don't stand out from the crowd. They want to blend in. So they remain invisible, like we were. But here they are. Every day, worldwide, 5,760 children lose their parents. That equals 640 baseball teams every day. That's a lot of kids. It's estimated that there are 153 million orphans in the world, and most of them live in developing countries, obviously. But also, there are very many orphans living in the Western world. We don't know exactly how many there are, but what we do know is that there are about 400,000 children in the US foster care system. And about 100,000 of them are waiting for adoptive families. And last year in the Netherlands, where I live, we counted orphans. And there are 34,000 orphans living in the Netherlands on a population of 16 million people. But whether it be hundreds, thousands, or millions, every single one of them counts. And these kids are they are doing their best to make something of their lives every day. Paying the rent, failing to pay the rent, going to school, skipping a class, finding a job, getting laid off, finding new opportunities, and missing their mother, missing their father. And most of these kids are hiding their struggle because they're afraid of being shamed or humiliated, because they are different and maybe perceived as pitiful. So, remember high school? It can be kind of a jungle, right? When I was 24, I ran into a former classmate of mine from high school, and she told me that she and some other girls from school hadn't believed me back then when I told them that my parents had died. She said, "We thought you made that up just to get attention." Sometimes people make awkward remarks. It's all human, but it can also be quite painful. It's been 2 years. Surely you're over it by now. I wish I had my own apartment. That would be so cool. Don't be too friendly to them, because they might want to stay with us. Now, there is something really interesting about philanthropy for orphans, because we donate to good causes in faraway countries, and it's a really cool thing that we do that, because we help people who live under horrific circumstances. So please continue to do so. But there is something that casts a shadow over this act of kindness, and it's given me a really uncomfortable feeling. Because after making our donation, we can easily switch back to our own safe world, our own bubble. But from that bubble, it's not so easy to notice grieving children around us. The kids who have lost their loved ones. But they are here, and they're silently wondering, if I tell my story, I'm afraid that no one will believe me, because I live in a Western world, and how can I compete with an orphan in Africa? They look really sad. And I'm just normal. But I'm afraid, and I can't pay the rent, and I have absolutely no idea what to do. Now, when we acknowledge this concept, it triggers thoughts like, does this really happen here? Should I be doing something about this? And maybe you have some thoughts that have to do with your own fear of mortality. Because let's face it, nobody's really looking forward to dying. I'm not. But what if we would make a switch from being afraid of dying to finding inspiration for living? I want to ask you something. Who in this room is raising a child, or has a nephew or niece or another child who is really close to you? It's a lot of people. Now picture them in your mind as if on a photograph. Now you have had some bad luck. You were in a car crash, and you're gone. Now please look to one of the persons on either side of you and look each other in the eye. Make contact, please. Just look each other in the eye. Now the person you're looking at right now is still alive, and you get one last chance to pass on a message through them to your child, a wish. And now think silently for yourself. What would your message be? I'd like to believe that what you're thinking right now is inspiration for living. And boy, did I need inspiration for living 18 months after my mother died. I really needed a fresh start, a clean slate, and I decided to move to the other side of the country, to a really pretty place called Delft. And it was a great place to go. And I got to stay with my best friend at the time and her parents, and I was really, really grateful for the opportunity. And 8 months later, I decided to rent my own room. It was a smelly, ugly place above a fast food restaurant. And it didn't have a lock on the door. And it was smelly, and the sink was clogged, and it was kind of, well, not really a paradise, but it was mine, and I was happy to have it. And I went to a new school, and I met new people, I made new friends, and learned a lot of new things. And one of the girls I met at my new school looked exactly like me. Spitting image. So of course we fought about it, because there was only room for one personality in the school. But 15 minutes later we became friends. And soon I met her parents, Koen and Marianne. Wonderful, loving and direct people. And they wanted to celebrate my next school report with me and their youngest daughter. So they wanted to invite me to dinner in town. But I was invited under one condition. I had to show them where I was living. So I declined the invitation. I was mortified. I was so embarrassed. I didn't want to show them. But Koen wasn't impressed at all, so he came anyway. He opened the door and he said, "Fortunately, there are two good things here in this room. A toothbrush and the bag. Pack the bag. You're coming with us. You're not safe here." And I said, "No, sorry, I can't do that because I already paid this month's rent and I really can't do that. I can't afford to lose the only thing I have." And Koen wasn't at all intimidated. He said, "Get in the car. You are not safe here. And we are going to find a new safe place for you to live. And for the record, these cardboard boxes and bags and stuff here are not the only things you have. Now get in the car, and I'm hungry." And I got in the car, and it felt horrible, because I felt like I'd given up. I felt like a failure, and I didn't want to take advantage of these amazing people. But Koen and Marianne helped me find a new place to live. And the best thing was, they taught me how to do it myself. They said to me, they're really pragmatic, they said, "You have to do this yourself. So make the call to the housing agency. Arrange all the paperwork, and don't forget your passport this time. And explain them why you need a safe place to stay right now, and tell them your story. And don't be late for dinner at 5:30. We can't wait to hear how you did it. Now, in case anything goes wrong, we're right here. But we're pretty confident that you can do it all by yourself. You're a smart one." And it worked. And soon I had my own new safe apartment. And it worked because Koen and Marianne had said to me, "In case anything goes wrong, we're right here, but we're pretty confident that you can do it yourself." Looking back, they did 3 amazingly powerful things that anyone can do. It's not rocket science, it's universal. First, they noticed me and my struggle. And they dared revealing it while I was hiding it so well in a safe environment. And then they facilitated a short-term solution. I got to stay with them, and then we looked for a new apartment. And then they empowered me to solve things myself. Noticing, facilitating, empowering. These are things that anyone could do. To this day, Marianne says, "We only did what was necessary, nothing more and nothing less." But exactly that is the key to building life skills and for becoming fearless. Now, we may feel uncomfortable around grieving children. Even sometimes when it hits our own families and we don't know what to say to them. They have looked death in the eye, right? Now, it's better to say that you don't know what to say, but that you care and that you see them, than to say nothing at all. And shoving it under the rug isn't helping anyone. And being an ally to an orphan is really easy. You can do something what comes natural to you, something you may not even consider one of your talents. You can make their lives a wee bit easier, just one cup of tea, one punching bag, one winter coat, one school meeting, one celebration dinner, one Valentine's card at a time, one child at a time. Now, since the moment I showed you this card, 95 children have lost their parents. Now, what if all those kids in faraway countries and next door learn how to walk that tightrope way up high, confidently, creatively, and fearlessly? I believe there is a thin line between noticing and ignoring, and between facilitating and doing nothing, being passive, and between empowering or feeling sorry for someone. And we need to choose position. Are you the one watching the orphan walk that tightrope way up high? Or are you the one holding their safety net? Thank you very much.